Thank you very much for being here and having SaaS being in a part of SaaS Insiders India 2020 session.
No problem. It's my pleasure.
Yeah, I'll give a super quick introduction to Sid and I'll hand it over to you. So Siddharth is a seasoned marketing leader with over 12 years of experience helping organizations achieve scale, primarily due to marketing. He's worked across B2B and enterprise SaaS to deliver on brand and growth. His roles have been to primarily build, scale, and lead marketing teams across demand gen, digital marketing, content, partnership, product, etc. He spearheaded the marketing efforts for multiple high-growth companies like CleverTap, Carix, and Simply Learn. And he's also founded a company called Email Guru. So he's probably the perfect person to talk about B2B versus B2C, and how does it work? How does marketing work differently, right? I'll hand it over to you, Sid.
All right. Thanks so much for the kind words. And Vikrant said a lot of things. I am just a simple marketer. What I've probably done is I've been allowed to fail. All thanks to organizations like Simply Learn, CleverTap, and Verloop now. I've been allowed to fail, and that's what's basically been my learnings, right? I mean, unless you fail, you don't learn, right?
Yeah.
Quickly about the session today. A few folks have joined in, and we'll start then. I love speaking fast, right? I mean, and this has been people generally tell me to slow down when I speak, but this is how I naturally speak. So the session, I'm just going to talk about why B2C versus B2B in the sense what is the difference in marketing, right? From a strategic point of view to a implementation kind of a view, like a day-to-day activity point of view as well. And for anyone who has a query on the presentation or anyone who feels, okay, Sid, what do you exactly mean by this? We have the Q&A session after this. I will give you a lot of time for Q&A. You don't need to worry, right? And even if you want to connect further, my LinkedIn is always open, right? You can DM me. I'm probably the fastest to respond on LinkedIn. And if on LinkedIn I'm not able to answer you, please reach out to me on WhatsApp. I am more than happy to have a session on marketing and talk more about marketing. It's basically what I do and what I love.
That's great. I'll actually pick up on that after this.
Definitely. You can come over for coffee also. All right. I'll just quickly, can you see my screen?
Yes.
All right. Let me switch on to can you see the screen now?
Yep, we can.
All right. So I'll just quickly go over. Oh, okay. This is okay. Present. Sorry. Yeah. So B2C versus B2B SaaS. And I'll start with the first thing, right? What is SaaS? A lot of folks still talk about SaaS and they talk about physical services being delivered digitally, right? For me, I go back to this answer by Mark Thompson, right? And it's a very good answer. It's very simple also. SaaS is a software as a service and it's delivered over the internet mostly. And everyone is probably on the same version of the software and you pay every month or every recurring time period. The moment you stop paying, you lose access, right? This is SaaS for me. Okay. Now, what is B2C SaaS? This is stuff like Canva, Netflix, Spotify, Evernote, Typito, Roam, the recent big gun, Dropbox. These are B2C SaaS, right? I mean, these are used by personal. Dropbox is sort of B2B as well, but mostly used by individuals to share files and everything. And the moment you stop paying for them, you basically do not get to enjoy their services at all. Now, what is B2B SaaS, right? Verloop.io, Intercom, HubSpot, Salesforce, AirMeet, WebEngage, CleverTap. These are all services that are meant for businesses to use, and these are delivered over the internet, right? You don't have a physical delivery as such, right? Now, before we start with what's the difference, right? And, a lot of people want to, let's get to the point of what's the difference between everything. Let's start with what's common, right? And this name perfectly describes it, right? Data is crucial for both B2C and B2B marketers, right? The more data you have about the individuals, about the segment, about everything, you get better at marketing, right? As well as segmentation and targeting. Now, segmentation and targeting is like the age-old marketing tactic, but a lot of people just completely tend to forget this when it comes. So you've got to get it right. Whether you are in B2B or you are in B2C, you have to get it right. All right, now let's get to the differences. Now, from a 50,000 square feet, right? What are the differences? The target market. On the left-hand side, you see the B2C. Whenever you've defined your target audience, you have a huge database to target to, right? You have a huge set of pool of people to target to. In B2B, you have niche people. You have your accounts, 150, 200 accounts in a region, 300 accounts in a region. You're not targeting everyone. So the target market is very different, right? The sales cycle. I wanted to buy, say, for my kid, a motorbike, toy motorbike. I go to Amazon, I look at the order, I basically have pay using my credit card, and it's a one-step checkout. It's already done. Half of the information is already stored on the e-commerce app, right? But if I want to buy HubSpot for my company, right, this is the sales process on the right that you see. All right. I mean, it's, you first go to the demo, then you have somebody reach out to you, then you discuss pricing, then you go back to your finance team works out the pricing, payment method, then you go back, and there are multiple, loops and feedback that you keep going until you reach the end, right? And now the role of marketing. A B2C marketer is more like Liam Neeson, and who's like, I can do everything, right? I can catch you I can jump from a flying plane and catch you on the ground with pinpoint precision. I can do everything, right? In B2B, sales and marketing is like bye-bye, right? You can't function without both of them. You just have marketing led, you'll have a problem. You have sales led, you'll have a problem. Right? So the role of marketing differs. Channels and flavors. In a B2C marketing, you need entertainment, shock, or basically anything that drives impulsive behavior, right? And when you come to the B2B setting, you want to educate your audience, you want to raise their awareness, you want to be more enterprisey in your outlook, right? This is where I get a lot of flack, and a lot of B2C marketers come back and tell me it's not the case. But since I've been on both the sides, I can relate to this. A B2C marketer is literally swimming in a pot of gold, right? And you see this little guy sitting on the top, and he might have a few pennies. That's a B2B marketer. Okay, so that's the side of the budgets that people, in B2C, and the difference in B2B and a B2C marketer budget. Feedback loop. This is quite what do you say, a drastic thing which I noticed when I shifted from B2C to B2B. In B2C, your campaigns have a very short feedback loop. You run a campaign today, within 7 days, you know whether this campaign was a hit or a flop, right? In B2B, there are long, multiple offline and online moments, right? You do a campaign today, you do not know whether that campaign worked out for the next 3 to 4 weeks, right? Even after 4 weeks, only that campaign might, somebody might pick up and say, okay, hey, I saw this campaign and I wanted to talk to you about the product or something. And you would be like, okay, is this campaign working or not? It's very difficult to pin down to one moment. So your feedback loop goes for a very long time. Now, from a 5-week level, let's get to the differences, right? Scale of campaigns. In a B2C, you want to run multiple omni-channel campaigns at the same time. In B2B, you do not run omni-channel campaigns. You rarely have a mobile app on with you that you basically want to target them on. Your audience is not mostly, I mean, if you're looking at a B2B audience where you want to engage them, you would look at where they'll go to, but you will not go on more than 2 or 3 social media platforms. The scale of campaigns is very, very different. Then the level of data, right? And this is in my experience. I know a lot of B2B company uses a ton of data as well, and a lot of B2C companies that hardly use any data. But over my experience, I've seen that B2C companies gather and store and meaningfully use the data, right? They, for example, imagine Netflix, right? Netflix uses a lot of tools to basically ensure that your recommendations are valid and they basically keep you hooked on. In B2B, we are still at a place where we talk about first name is sort of considered personalization, right? So the level of data usage is very different. Content marketing, right? Very few B2C brands have made an impact on content marketing, but content, it's a kind of a big deal when it comes to B2B, right? That fuels the basic engine, right? I mean, unless you have content, B2B marketing will not work. But B2C marketing is not irrespective. I mean, that would be a wrong word for me to use, but basically it's not that impactful in B2C content. Now focus on retention, right? B2C marketers are now, due to, the pandemic and even before that, there was a huge shift to retention, huge. Right? I mean, it was crazy the way, marketers shifted their focus on retention, and they have retention campaigns are now all the biggest fires in the marketing world. You have to run retention campaigns. B2B marketers are still getting there, because in a B2B, you don't have a product experience only. You also have a customer support experience. You have multiple experiences. So for marketing to solely focus on retention, it right now doesn't make a complete sense. So there's a difference in the focus of retention as well. And other areas where B2B concentrates on, right? Events are a big deal in B2B, where you move from one tech event to another tech event. You look at where your buyers are. You want to either create awareness for your product, or you want to meet your the people who are going to sign off on your check, and basically try to influence them further. And like I said about the content, but more towards research, white paper oriented, where you want to basically be the thought leader, or you want to be the best person or the best company in this category. You need to take out more and more research, right? So yeah, that's all from me, folks. Now, like I said, I love to run through this really fast. So, and I'm pretty true to my word. I've done it in, gone through 20 odd slides in 12 to 15 minutes. The next 15 minutes is all for question and answers. If you have any questions, if anybody wants to know anything, more than happy to chat right now and make this session more engaging.
So actually, I have a couple of things I wanted to ask you about. One is, so we know, like, we've kind of figured the difference that, as you mentioned, right, between B2B and B2C. What are some of the key things that you think B2C is doing really well, and which B2B can adopt, especially given the maturity of the company, the stage at which it is in, since we have a lot of starting out founders on the platform?
Yeah. So what I think in B2C that they do really well, like I said, is the usage of data, right? Mm-hmm. For example, I'll just give you a very simple example, right? Again, going back to streaming services, because I've seen their usage of data is brilliant, right? I mean, even tools like MX Player, everybody has recommendation. Now, this kind of data, what your product uses, right? Now, this data is very rarely available in a B2B world. Right? Okay. What are the features that they use the most? What was the adoption rate? For example, if I have in my company, if I have 20 features, right, in my product. Now, which is the feature being used by most in which vertical? Right. Now, this kind of an answer in a B2C is not only ready at your hand. It's expected that you have this answer. In a B2B, this is still thought of as cutting edge.
Yeah, it is. Like you mentioned, right? Like first name personalization is applauded, but yeah.
So I would say that where do B2B marketers have to pick up on is something on that sort. Where do B2C marketers can learn from B2B is especially content, right? The level of content that B2B produces in the world is just insane, right? The research. I mean, Netflix can as and well go on now and write a report on usage study, the kind of genres that people watch in each region. Forget the country. Each state, but it doesn't do it. I don't know why.
Yeah.
They can just tell very clearly, okay, 18 to 20. They have information for me saying that, okay, every household in, say, Bangalore has 5 live profiles, and 2 profiles are of adults and 3 profiles are of kids. And they can basically break it down and come up with such kind of papers, but they don't do it.
Yeah.
Right? B2B excels in it. B2B, you give us I think you gave us 5 data points, and we'll make a 50-pager report out of it and call it a
thought leader, expert's opinion, outlook,
or the latest benchmark report.
Yeah. So we have one question from Arun, which talks about what would be your marketing strategy for a business starting from a blank slate. Again, supremely low maturity, just someone who's just starting out.
Cool. So I always have this kind of 2x2 matrix. And when you're starting out, you either have you have to focus on where you want your marketing tool to do, what you want your marketing to give you, right? Do you want your marketing to raise product awareness? Okay, I'm in the market, I'm available in the market. For example, if you are going into the CRM market, you have Salesforce, you have Fresh CRM, you have Zoho CRM, right? Now do you want marketing to get you leads, or do you want marketing to basically make a noise in the market and position you along with them, right? Basis that, you can basically then make your marketing strategy. Marketing cannot be Superman, right? it cannot be. It cannot fly. It cannot shoot lasers off its eyes, and it cannot punch at the same time.
Yeah.
Right? And it cannot be bulletproof. Right? Think of marketing more as Batman. Right? The more marketing is given time, the more marketing is given basically time to train itself, time to learn, and does one specific job at a time and gets better at it. That is what marketing can do for you. So decide what you want marketing to do. Say, okay, I want to raise product awareness, and then basically go from there and then start your strategy.
That's a great point. I love think of marketing as Batman. I'm gonna steal that. And I think Suraj is asking, how do the metrics differ from B2C and B2B SaaS brands, and how do you plan for longer sales cycle?
Sure. So in B2C, a lot of folks now measure CAC to LTV, like what's your cost of customer acquisition to your LTV. In B2B, we still don't measure that. We measure CAC, we measure opportunity and pipeline generated. When you come down the funnel, when you come before the funnel, like before the revenue, in B2C, you measure the number of leads generated, number of conversion rate, and the number of people who have signed up, say for a freemium, and then who have you upsold. In B2B, if you are a freemium product, which is like an Ahrefs, something you take up for $5, $10 for the first month, and then you want to push up, you measure those as well. But in a enterprise, you basically measure how many opportunities or meetings you have booked.
Cool.
And how do you plan for longer sales cycle? I'll be honest, I don't know. Right? I mean, a brand can have like, I had a client which took, I think, 1.5 years to close, right? And it was probably the biggest deal in my organization, right? And marketing drove a lot of touch points for them through email, through webinars, through everything. So you've got to have a blueprint of how you're going to engage your current pipeline. Once you have a blueprint of how you're going to engage the pipeline, then it is sorted. Like it can be a 1 year, they will still be engaged. And your content and the way you engage the folks should be relevant.
Cool. So what I get from it is like you have a number of touch points that are available that you can track and measure, and that will give you enough insights. For like a low maturity company who are just starting off, what do you think is a good tech stack for them to build from a marketing standpoint that will give them enough data points to make a dent or make an impact?
So obviously look at your web analytics, because I mean a lot of people are researching you online, and anyone worth their salt will have a decent website, right? Look at your if you're launching digital ads, ensure that all your digital ads can be tracked back into your CRM. Have a CRM where you can store all leads. Ensure nothing is on Excel, right? We all love to work on Excel, and we all feel confident after we work on Excel, right? But that Excel data goes away once somebody has a crash, right?
Yeah.
Any crash in the computer, everything goes away. So ensure nothing is on Excel. Everything is on the CRM. In terms of tech stack, ensure that you have a marketing automation system set up. You do not need something like a HubSpot to start off with. It can be as simple as an active campaign or constant contact. Very simple, very basic, and going through that. You can use, if you're in a B2B, use lead intelligence tools to basically pre-fill data for you that you couldn't gather on your own, right? So which basically they can help you with that. And ensure that you have a tool where all your folks who are calling into the customers, their calls are recorded, and that can be basically helpful for you to play back and learn more about what the calls are and what the demos are going to be like, right? Post that, everything on the net is now, AirMeet for your virtual meetings. All these tools exist. You want to use for social media, use Lumen 5, use Typito for making videos, use Lumen 5 for making videos, use Canva for making a quick graphic. Everything is right there, right? You just got to know what you want to do, and your tech stack gets built up. And a lot of folks, obviously, when you go to enterprise organizations, and they tell you, okay, this is my tech stack, and they make it sound like a very sophisticated and a very great built up, like as if they plan every journey. And I'll be very honest with you, I have built tech stacks for 3 companies, and to be very honest, nothing was planned. Right? Every tech stack is the result of a problem being solved. Every tool that you pick up is a result of problem being solved. Anybody who tells you, okay, this is the tech stack that should be, either doesn't understand your business or is not aware of what they're trying to solve.
Would you say
Right? They're just
more reactive in nature then?
it has to be, because I cannot imagine that a young company which is starting off today will buy a HubSpot for a $8,000 license. Right? It does not make sense. Right? But it is the best tool out there, yes, but it does not make sense for you. Why not just use a free version of MailChimp and send out emails? Right? I mean, it depends upon which stage you are in, and you have a problem, right? I mean, what if you are selling in a B2B organization, you're in a manufacturing logistics company, or you're in a warehouse company? You really don't need emails to be sent, right? I mean, most of your calls, most of your things are done on the call.
Yeah.
So you need a calling software. You don't need an emailing software. For emailing purchasing report, you can just use a very simple active campaign tool. So the tools and the tech stack exist to solve a problem, and not the other way around. Problems can be solved using tools, right? Tools are not your panacea. Okay, I have this tool, and my problems are sorted.
Yeah, that absolutely makes sense. We have one question from Dana. Please talk about B2B customer retention. Price flexing is high with B2B customers during contract renewals, as they have more choices over the period of time, as many companies come with similar products.
Yeah. So good question, Dana. And I will take this up because I truly believe that retention is the focus area for a lot of marketers. B2B marketers have a small role to play, but they still do have a role, right? When it comes to a contract negotiation, right, you obviously have your sales team, as well as you have your
customer success team.
Yeah, I mean, customer success team, customer support team, all of them basically talking about, how have we done over the past year, and constantly engaging them. Now, when you look at this, marketers, you would say, okay, where does marketers play in, right? But like Dhana said, a lot of customers are constantly evaluating, right? Today we are using, for example, okay, let me take the concept of SaaS Insider, right? Today you are on Hopin, right? Next year or next quarter or next year, after 6 months, you want to do this conference again, right? You want to talk about, okay, hey, this is what there's a new tool in the market. Let's try this out. And you do a demo and you're like, okay, this is great. But what if at the moment Hopin basically, you go and evaluate, you look at G2 crowd review, right? You go look at, say, Hopin comes on Gartner reports, and say Hopin publishes white papers and research and takes out statistics on how virtual events have changed, right? Now, all these basically subconsciously alter your mindset towards Hopin, and you say, okay, Hopin is a safe bet, right? People who use your software are not only looking to solve the problem, but also looking to ensure they have no further problems while using your software, right? So if you can make them feel safe, if you can make them feel happy using your software, say, okay, I'm using a software that makes me probably great at something, then you shouldn't have that problem. And that's what the role of marketers is in retention.
To ensure that you validate their purchase post-purchase, right?
Yeah, you validate the purchase and you ensure that they become the customer and they become the champions of your product, right? I mean, this is something which I was coming to. I mean, for example, Vikrant is now using Hopin, right? Now, say after this event, right, and say after another couple of successful events, Hopin approaches Vikrant, say, hey, what's your what's your take on Hopin? And Vikrant gives it. Now, if Vikrant is made a brand champion, right, Vikrant wouldn't want to go back and say, okay, I changed the tool because I feel like changing a tool. Vikrant is happy with the tool, and they have given him validation, and he's grown in social stature because of it. One of the companies that does this really well and who I admire is basically Gong, right? Just go to gong.io and look at their videos, right? You will know what I'm talking about. They do customer marketing out of the box, out of the world, right? Really good at it.
Damn cool. I think Rajat has a question about, I think he had a doubt. Also in the beginning, you mentioned about how you buy things for your son on an e-commerce site and compare it to the sales cycle at your company for buying a software. Aren't the purchase cycle different from sales cycle? Can you clear the cloud?
So sales and yeah, you're right. When you say purchase cycle is different from a sales cycle, Rajat. But what I meant and what I wanted to elucidate on that point was basically more about how impulsive buying leads to a purchase in a B2C company. Like, for example, okay, I say Mirzapur is out, right? And I see memes about Mirzapur all over the internet, right? And I'm like, okay, man, chuck it. How much is it? $499, $999 a year. Okay, let me go for it, right? Now, it's a sales and / purchase cycle combined into a very short period of time versus a B2B where you actually start from even the sales cycle, right? Even when you start the conversation that, okay, I want to purchase, right? That itself takes a long period of time. right? It goes through multiple buying committees, it goes through multiple review committees, and then basically a sale happens.
I have a follow-up question on this.
Yeah.
It's basically you consider a B2B buying cycle or purchase cycle as a transactional one, and B2C is very emotional, right?
Yeah.
Do you think that's a fair?
I wouldn't say that's a fair assessment, because B2B also becomes emotional at a certain point, right? I mean, for example, I want to send out emails to the database that I have, and my event is coming up. I need a software solution now, right? Now I start the journey today, but I cannot buy something today unless I'm doing it like a active campaign or say Klaviyo. But if I'm an enterprise, say I am a part of an IBM company, right? I need to go through the legal and the finance mandated route, because that's how I have to purchase, right? So even if I decide today that, okay, I need to make a purchase, generally in a B2C, when you decide to make the purchase, it's a very simple step. You don't have multiple touch points involved. You will not call up you don't call up Amazon and say, okay, I want to purchase a diaper. Can you give me more discount on this? Right. But here you call up the respective agent and you're talking to them, and they give you a demo, and then you ask them, okay, is this feature available? Is this not available? Because, well, B2B products are slightly complicated. So you want to ensure everything happens. So the sales cycle goes a bit longer, and that's what I meant.
Got it. I think Rajat has another question. As you mentioned, B2B marketers do not have the budget to the likes of B2C. Are you saying even to the likes of HubSpot, Salesforce, Adobe marketers feel the same? If yes or no, then can you support your answer?
Good question. I knew this was going to come up because I have a lot of folks working in Salesforce, and they use a lot of budget for their Dreamforce event. Adobe has it as well, and HubSpot is like well known for its spend, right? So now when we look at B2B and you think HubSpot, Salesforce, Adobe, compare them to Amazon, Netflix, and TikTok of the world, right? And then you look at the budgets, right? Then you say, okay, I mean, that's hardly comparable, right? If you want to go a step down, look at emerging B2C organization and look at emerging B2B organizations, right? Look at how much they spend on ads digitally and on brand versus B2B, right? B2C company, I'll take the example of Cred, right, which is a mature startup now. They have launched brands, right? And they have launched brand ads across IPL and across YouTube, and they've put in a lot of money for that, right? Similar startup in B2B wouldn't do that typically. And I say this typically, and I do not say that, okay, a brand cannot come and disrupt this methodology. Marketing is all about disrupting, right? I mean, generally, but the budget given to marketing is a fraction of what the revenue is, and that's how it works. In B2C, marketing is mostly also sales, right? I mean, they are basically getting in the dollars. So they are giving a sort of a larger leeway to build the brand and to basically promote organic growth.
Mm-hmm. Great. I think we are just about on time. I'm actually really glad, and I feel really happy when sessions end exactly on time and start on time. That seldom happens in a session, right? So thank you so much for joining us, Siddharth. If there are any other follow-up questions, I'll note them down, and we'll probably shoot out an email post the event. And also the videos will be available on YouTube. You'll all get an email of that, a copy of the video.
Sure.
Thanks.
One more question. Dhana has asked me this.
Yeah.
Blogs was submitted. Arun has also asked me this.
Okay.
Which is better for B2B SaaS and how to build subtle marketing within the community. Okay, I don't understand subtle marketing, but if you are building a community, be ready to invest your marketing resources into it. Community is not easy, right? And this is after I've built and destroyed a community myself, right? Community is not easy, right? You build a community. There are a lot of dead communities. I mean, for all the active ones that you see, there are probably 20 or 30 dead communities which are already there. A lot of products in B2B feel the fact that, they build a community, they build a loyalist fan following. That's not true, right? If you build a community, you've got to maintain it. You've got to ensure that there is activity happening, and you've got to put it as a part of your larger strategy, right? It cannot be just existing out in the world, right? I mean, and if you don't have the bandwidth, it doesn't fall in the strategy, don't do this. Hi, okay, Rajat. Okay, hey Rajat. Cool. Rajat also had a topic about usage report. Netflix does usage reports. Yes, I follow the product engineering blogs, but it doesn't do it like how B2B does it, and that's what I wanted to talk about.
B2B marketers now aspiring to market like B2C, quirky, fun. I do see learning from B2C. Have you come across these? A lot of B2B learning from B2C.
Hi, Ketan. How are you? Ketan is a old friend at CleverTap. All right. So, any more questions? More than happy to answer. Okay.
Yes. I think we're good to.
All right. I also love it when sessions start and end on time. This is something which I always felt like, people should value each other's time. It doesn't happen. It gets very frustrating, and valuing time is very important. But yeah, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Vikrant. Thank you so much for having me. It was really fun. I hope
it's our pleasure. Thanks for joining and supporting SaaS Insiders first India conference. I'm hoping that we'll have many more in the coming months and the coming years, and hopefully make it much more productive and much more fruitful for everybody.
Happy to be a part of it.
Thank you guys. Bye bye. See ya.
See you.